that feeling. I always butcher people's names, so.
Oh, well, your name. Well, I'm going to hold on. I'm going to do the intro. I'm going to try your name, but here we go. Hey, welcome, America, to the Eric and Rodney Show with Robin, presented by Offensively Creative and Dinsmore Steel and Valaria, I guess now. Oh, it's a third sponsor. I'm America's sweetheart, Eric Ryan. I own Offensively Creative. That's Rodney Steele. He's Rod, the PEO god. He owns Dinsmore Steel. This is Robin Valdez. He's the thriller from Manila, and he lives in Manila. Isn't that crazy? He's representing Valari. And ladies and gentlemen, very special guest today, one of the greatest names of all time, Florentino Buenaventura. Welcome to the show.
Oh, man, you got it right.
I nailed it, right?
Congratulations.
From EnterTalk.
He's been practicing since last week. Welcome.
I do it every day in the bathtub. I have a couple gin and tonics and do the intro to the show. Well, thank you.
It took him 3 weeks to get my name.
I'm not very good with American names. Florentino Buenaventura. Holy shit. I'm out here with Eric Ryan like an asshole. That is a fucking name, man. That is a really good name.
That's actually not my full name, but we won't give you too much. Florentino is my middle name.
Oh, what's the first name? You got to give it to us.
All right, here we go. Manuel Florentino Buenaventura Jr. the third. I'm not.
It's beautiful.
Any of it. I'm not original in any of it.
You know what? You know what's funny? I'm a third.
Oh,
so I understand.
Look at you guys. Writing that name in kindergarten must have been a fucking nightmare, though.
I couldn't spell my name until second grade, man. It was just crazy.
I still can't spell your name, and I'm 42. So
it was bad. The teacher would sit there. I'm the only one. My teacher would write out my name on the chalkboard, and because that's how old I was.
There's a lot going on there. So I don't know if you've seen
people of Spanish descent always have like 5 or 6 names.
Well, I'm Pinoy, man. I'm mestizo, much like you. I'm assuming you're mestizo, Robert.
Oh, I'm Filipino as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like that. You can tell by my nose. I thought you have a little bit more of your probably Caucasian side as well, so or Spanish side.
Yeah.
Holy shit! So we have 2 half Filipinos on the show. Is that legal, Rodney? Can you check?
Well, now makes one full Filipino.
Makes one full Filipino.
We can start a boy group with 1 Filipino. We're good.
That's right. That's a good idea. We could be what's that group I like? BTS? Were they Korean? South Korean?
Well, all of our new pop stars are all half Filipino. Olivia Rodrigo.
That's
Bruno
right.
Bruno Mars.
Bruno Mars is amazing.
Bruno Mars
is a national treasure.
Yeah, he's half Filipino from
Can I just say that? He is incredible.
Unbelievable hair, too.
I would argue that I think he's better than The Weeknd. I said it. Well, I'm serious. He's incredible. He is incredible.
Yeah.
Is The Weeknd half Filipino? No.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I just think he's overhyped.
Probably.
And then there's a bunch of us running around out there. They're half. If you like hip hop, Shadi is half Filipino.
Wow.
Her is half Filipino, so there's a bunch of us.
I've been watching a lot of cooking shows lately, and Filipino food keeps coming up, and it looks goddamn delightful, but it's underrepresented. I live in Massachusetts. I don't know of any Filipino restaurants.
Well,
it really is.
Yeah, it's all about the pig with the Filipino food, man. It's just like I brought a Muslim friend. He wanted to have Filipino food for the first time. I brought him to a restaurant, and it was basically it was a nightmare because I couldn't find anything for him to eat because he's Muslim. He can't eat pork.
It's very porky.
Yeah.
I was like,
he's really missing out on the lechon sisig.
Oh yeah, everything. Lechon sisig, adobo, all that.
Adobo, yeah.
Adobo, yeah, big. Look at all this insider Filipino talk. Finally,
Robin.
I know adobo. All you white cats, we're gonna leave you out. We're gonna start talking Filipino. What part of the Philippines are you in, Robin?
In Manila, but my mom is from Ilocos, so quite provincial actually.
Which part? My family's from Quezon City. I got a bunch of family still there.
So for years,
I'm only about 30 minutes away from.
Okay, cool.
I can't really say for years, but for weeks, Rodney and I talk about Hot Pockets and Pop-Tarts, things Robin's never understood. But now we're on the outside looking in. So now I know.
We're like this. We're like this.
I have no idea. Sounds great, though. All right, so Florentino, you probably have never seen the show. You're one of the 10 to 12 people on the planet that haven't. We're very big. But in the Philippines, we're gigantic. But the first half hour, we cover the news, and then the second half hour, we interview you. And you have a fascinating story, my friend. But before we get to that, America demands our opinions on what's happening in the world. But before we get to
crazy times right now, for sure.
Every day in this country, I don't know if you know this, some sort of national day, some reason to celebrate. And today, shocking day. It's National No Bra Day. I don't know if anybody knows this, but let me tell you about how interesting this is and how we can all get behind this. You see Rodney up in the upper left-hand corner, 556,000.
Oh, wow. Yikes. That is a lot of sherries.
We've had Beer Day, and it's had like 6,000 shares. We've had like Martini Day, and it has like 5,000 shares. But National No Bra Day has 5,500 or whatever that fucking number is. We can really get behind No Bra Day as a country.
Like everybody's behind it.
Everyone is behind it. Now, it's for breast cancer awareness, but I think we can all find our own special way to celebrate No Bra Day. And I just wanted to bring this to your attention. Robin, you're not wearing a bra today, are you?
Not today.
I probably should one myself, but that's okay.
A man's ear? A bro?
Man's ear. Yeah. A la Seinfeld, yeah, for sure.
Oh man, Seinfeld, the greatest sitcom of all time.
In fact, in New York, they could do No Shirt Day. I guess it's women are allowed to be topless in New York.
That's right, baby. Yeah,
that's right.
Skip everything, shirt, bra, fuck it all. In this thing though, they talked about how relaxing it is for women to take off a bra, and I'll never know that feeling. But I would imagine at the end of a long, hard day, you take that off, they flop around, it feels good, right? That's got to be a thing. Does anybody know? I got nothing on No Bra Day. All I know is that we all love it. All right, Robin. What else?
Yeah, no one's against that.
No. We're a very divided country, but we can bridge together by hating bras. What do we got, Robin? Oh no, is he frozen?
I think he froze.
I think we lost him. He was doing an air traffic controller.
He got too excited. Oh no, wait. Is he
back? He's back. He's
Robin,
back.
blink twice if you're with us.
Blink twice if the dictator has you.
Oh Lord, what is going on?
I don't know. Are you back?
I think he fell asleep. He just Mitch McConnell.
No, I'm here.
He's back.
They voted you off, Robin. They voted you off, man.
Yeah, sorry, man. We have another.
The government keeps turning off the internet. Okay. So our first story gives us a little bit of perspective into what kind of content teenagers are consuming. And this is also kind of good news for us because American teens apparently watch a lot more YouTube than stuff like Netflix, Disney Plus. It's good news because it means they enjoy content that's produced by everyday content creators like us a little bit, and not so much super produced stuff.
Yeah, I think that's the crux of this. So they said in the article too that every day on YouTube, 720,000 hours are added to YouTube every day. 720,000 hours. Their totality of content on Netflix is only 36,000. So that's a lot more. Wow. But also, I think it's like comparing like aardvarks and tomatoes because it's two very different. Like Robin said, we're on YouTube right now. Anyone can get on YouTube. If you're on Netflix, it's a big fucking deal, right? Highly produced, longer, pretty actors.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I've never been able to upload any of my materials to Netflix.
You try to stream on Netflix, but they won't let us.
I keep sending them DVDs, and they never send them back. I don't understand.
Yeah, you got to use certain cameras for Netflix. We've looked into it.
And I don't even have a camera. I have an iPhone somewhere.
It ain't easy, man. Plus, YouTube is amazing. Like, you learn how to change a tire, get a recipe, watch a beheading video, all in 5 minutes. None of that is capable on Netflix.
No. Yeah. You gotta, you know what? If you want to know how to do those things like a beheading, you got to watch a whole series.
Yeah, right.
Find out who left who and get to the end. I had to watch the entire series of HBO Game of Thrones. Figure out how to.
Yeah, well, not on YouTube. You can get right there.
That's right.
It's kind of impressive how they drag it out that much. It like 11 seasons.
I know, to learn how to ride a dragon. That's all. That's why I tuned in the first week. Yeah. My God.
You know what's crazy too about just the beef between these two things is how amazing both these technologies are. Like, Robin, you were born before this, but like in the olden days, if you wanted to watch a movie, you had to go here. It's a local video store. And then you had to hope that they had it because sometimes the thing was behind the thing. And then you had to come back in a week. Like, now anything you want to watch, you can watch instantly right away. It's fucking magic. We live in a magic time. We're so
Remember when you used to have to go to the front desk and you'd be like, oh, I didn't see Teen Wolf. And they'd be like, oh, and you'd be like, click, somebody dropped off videos. But is it in there?
And like Teen Wolf will be back on Tuesday, and then you're gonna come back again. In the meantime, you're gonna watch Teen Wolf 2, and then you didn't know what happened in the first one.
I remember my stepdad went one time, and he had reserved Teen Wolf 2, right, or something. I think it was Teen Wolf 2 or Back to the Future or something. Yeah. And he got there, and the guy said, "Oh, we just gave away the last copy." He's like, "Are you kidding me? I called. What are we gonna do here?" And I just remember thinking,
Gosh, you had to reserve tapes and VCDs.
Oh, my,
That sounds
yeah,
like a
man.
nightmare.
Robin, you young man. This
Wow.
is, you had to go there and hope Teen Wolf 2 was there, and if it wasn't, you were so disappointed. Your night was ruined.
And these
Well,
tapes were like $100.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Netflix to start charging us late fees. That's all.
Like we don't rewind, and then
Yeah, you
we get a
gotta
$5 ding. You know what? So this was a local video store, and I picked this on purpose because Blockbuster always had the better selection, but local video stores always had a porn room. So they were always a little. You remember the porn room?
The
I mean,
adult
Robin.
room.
Whoa! Wow.
I know. I
It always
figured
had a
Robin
little
didn't know this.
curtain. It had a little curtain.
Yeah, so it was
You'd be
this
like-
same idea, but it was all porn, and then it was very embarrassing because it's in the back, and you have to walk with your porn tape all the way to the front. So you're like someone's renting Harry and the Hendersons, and you and you got big ass sluts 19, and you're like, sorry guys,
Yeah, Robin, you had to pay for your porn back in the day.
you had to pay for your porn, magazines, VHSs.
Wow, what a time.
Yeah, no, it was
See, now here's the thing, right? If you look at this picture, I can't tell who's selling who here.
no.
Like, she could work there, or she could work at the outdoor store.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
Jiffy Lube. I feel like
Jiffy
there's a lot of with
or the pet store, you know.
Or Jurassic Park.
She looks like a standard mid-90s character. There she is.
Yeah.
Oh, it was just Robin. I'm so sad that you weren't around. I am reading a book right now called The 90s, and it was all about VHS machines used to be like $800, and then VHS, like the movies, used to be $89.99.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, they invented these places because no one's going to buy Teen Wolf 2 for $90, but they're like, we can rent it out for $5 for a weekend. I don't know, man. My point is, life has changed so dramatically in 30 years.
Yeah, CD players used to be $1,000 when they first came out.
Right. TVs, big screen TVs, everyone with a big, now they're disposable. I wipe my ass with big screen TVs.
I remember people came over to my house one time. They were like, he has an LCD.
Oh my God.
And it was the size of my computer screen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like Michael in the office when he's like,
we had a plasma recently that we gave away to basically gave it to Tijuana. So it's just like
Tijuana.
Crazy. Yeah, it's right. It's right next door. So just like here.
I gave one away. I gave one away when we were moving because we just didn't have room in the car. I said, you know what? Do you need a TV? And the guy was like, probably. I said, use it as a computer monitor. Just take it.
Yeah, who gives a fuck? I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, this thing was great. It was great quality. Picture I think it was 720, but the thing was so freaking heavy. It was a flat panel, but two people had to carry it.
It was made out of Gorilla Glass.
Yeah, something. It was crazy.
Trying to explain
what do you call
to
those
these
monitors
kids.
again? Like CRT monitors?
CRT. I don't know.
CRTs were, but usually you didn't really get that big. 21 inch, 22 inch, 24 inch was a huge CRT.
Yeah, they were huge.
Like that wasn't it. They were weighty, but nothing compared to like a.
I used to have one of those Sony Trinitrons.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Trinitrons. All right. So Florentino, you don't know this, but Robin is jacked out of his mind. He's ripped up. Robin, if you want to get in better shape, go get some 90s television sets and do some fucking shrugs. Oh my God. Forget it. All right. What else is in the news?
So I don't know if any of you guys have been to Disney lately. Doesn't seem like your thing anymore.
No.
But they do say it's the happiest place on earth. So it's just a little bit sad that in order to get to the happiest place on earth, it costs over $100 per ticket, which is kind of outrageous at this point. So on top
per
of that,
person,
Disney Plus,
for the children too.
Yeah, baby.
Wowzers! I thought the children were free.
Mm-mm.
Wait, how much was a Disney ticket when you were young? Do you remember?
They were free. It was kids free.
Yeah, it was 3 shekels and an oath against communism when I was a kid. Now it's either $109, $109 on the low end, and $194 on the high end.
Yeah, they don't even have the Southern California discounts. They used to have the if you lived in the area, you can get a yearly pass. Well, first off, you had to buy tickets for each ride back in the day, Robin. So that's
whoa! You had to buy tickets for each ride, like a carnival.
Yeah,
you had to have like e-pass, and each ride had a certain pass. It's kind of like the carnival.
You got to sell the car.
Then they had to move to all as one. So that's because I go way back, probably quite a bit before you guys. And then then it was, I think when last time I actually paid for one, because I've been fortunate to be able to get free passes because of late.
Do you like going? Well, do you have children?
I don't.
So are you? Can I ask you?
I'm with you on that one.
Are you a Disney adult?
Oh yeah, I still love Disneyland. I still love Disneyland.
I am too.
You Disney adults.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm a Disney adult. I'm that dude right there. That's the face I make when I'm going to Disneyland.
That's perfect.
Wait, so I have a question then. Right, I have a question. I'm just serious because I have one and I'm asking. I'm being serious. I'll tell you mine first. I'll go first.
Okay.
What's your favorite Disney movie? But this is my favorite Disney movie. It's the original, not the second one because it kind of sucked. But the original Fox and the Hound.
Oh, Fox and the Hound's good. Yeah, the ones we watched as kids. I have a very.
That was my favorite. But for you and Robin, what are your favorite Disney movies?
Well, if you're talking cartoons, Lion King is probably my favorite.
Lion King is really good.
Yeah, Lion King's good.
Yeah.
What
about you, Robin?
For me as
Lion
well.
King?
It's got to be Lion King. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Little Mermaid because it was Prince Eric and Ariel was hot, man, and she shut up like a mute hot chick. So like, does it get better than that? Oh my god, little singing crabs and shit. Oh, it was delightful. But here's my Disney story. Did you know, I was forced to go to a bachelor party in Disney World. Did you know this is such a thing?
No.
So you know how the internet's a big
Wow.
place? I was curious. I was like, have other men gone to Disney World and bachelor parties? The internet with pictures of everything. I could find 3. Now these aren't us, but this is essentially what we looked at. A whole bunch of grown adult men in matching T-shirts going to Disney World to get drunk around small children. It's not a thing that should exist, but somehow
no, that's not right. In anybody,
it's not right at all. Let me just have one more bitch session about this. They were like, we're gonna drink around the world in Epcot Center. So the ticket is like $150. So it's the world's most expensive club, right? That's the world's most expensive cover charge. Then every drink is $20 and there's 11 stops. I paid $20 for a Bud Light in the African Outpost. It's a
Hold on a second. I'm so confused. You had to pay $150 and that doesn't include any drinks?
0 drinks. And everything's watered down.
Was there a golf cart hauling you around?
No, you have to walk around children. You're drunk midday, Florida heat. You sweat your balls off. Your hair's floppy, and you fucking $20 for a pina colada.
Yikes! That sounds horrible.
I'll say that.
That sounds like hell.
The Mexican chicks in fake Mexico were very mean to us. What's Spanish for bitch? That's what they were calling us. Does anybody know?
Puta is actually Spanish.
That's what we were. Yes.
I am down in Southern California, so we get a lot of Spanish down here. So
yeah, well, stay away from the chicks in fake Mexico because they are mean, especially to all male bachelor parties. Hey, all right, hey, we only have 12 minutes left. You wanna? What else besides Disney is in the old news?
Yeah, that was a great picture you had.
I think Robin, are you back? I thought you were freezing there, Robin.
Oh no, he's just stretching.
No, I'm stretching. Not Robin's frozen.
Oh, Robin's frozen again? Jesus.
Oh, no. Well, it's like split second.
Lord.
So we're good.
Oh yeah.
Either he's frozen or he's asleep. I think he's asleep.
Yeah, he's lost.
Like he's in live action. He doesn't even know where he is right
Fridays
now.
are tough. All right, we're gonna talk amongst ourselves before he comes back on. Although, I could do this story. So I'm not sure if you guys have heard this, but there's something called climate change. You're familiar with this? Evidently, years and years.
Is it fake climate change or the real one?
Well, that's tough to say, but years of corporate pollution have sort of had an effect on the world we live in.
Really? I can't believe that.
Thoughts and prayers, but it might be happening. So there's this little river called the Amazon. Have you guys heard of this thing? Well, I have terrible news. It's fucking drying up to the point of absurdity. So this is part of the Amazon. And you know what else? So is this. That's a boat that should be floating in water on the Amazon. However, the Amazon's not there anymore. Here's a bunch of dead fish. Here's another picture from the Amazon. Here's the problem, though. The people that live around the Amazon, they need water to transport things like food and medicine and supplies, and they can't because the globe is warming up and nobody's doing anything about it. Scary, huh? I was under the impression that global warming was really going to affect my children's children, but evidently that's not the case. It's affecting me, so now I'm concerned.
It's getting started early.
Early. It showed up.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You're in California, Florentino, so that you see it worse than I think us on the East Coast, right?
Robin, is that you?
Yeah, I'm back.
We are we're always in a drought, even though we have crazy rain sometimes. So,
Mhm.
well, they didn't actually do a good job at planning out Southern California when they looked at the reservoir system. Although, little trivia, I'm going to shout out to my dad. He was one of the chief architects on the aqueduct that brought water from Northern California down to
Wow.
LA and San Diego and all that. So yeah, he was part of when we go by, my mom would say that your dad built that. So it's kind of interesting. Cool.
That's cool.
So it's not his fault. What's happening now is not his fault, right? We gotta.
Well, we moved to Northern California after we left LA when I was a kid, and so he helped steal all the water from Northern California to bring it down here. But that's
okay. Well,
that's another
story. they had plenty. Unlike the Amazon. Robin, did you have anything to say on this story? I introed it, but did you have a hot take on this?
Yeah, no, it's just like whenever you picture Amazon in your head, you just imagine saturated blue and green wildlife. Now it just kind of looks like Egypt. It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Really, I think of warehouses and packages, but I get it. Yeah, I see where you're going with it.
I think of next day delivery, but that's going to be tough
when there's no water.
It's fucking crazy that this boat, there must have been a lot of water. This is a gigantic boat, and now there's no water. Shouldn't the whole planet be very concerned about this? Like, very concerned?
If I could just make a suggestion here in this scenario, and I'm no rocket scientist, but those 2 trucks that are on board, if we unloaded all that crap, I feel like it could tow all that stuff right to the water, and we could get right on back down to business.
Well, my question would be, why did it stay there that long that it was able to dry dock? Because you would have, well, that one is a little bit different, but you think they would have sailed it to the part where there is water.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's probably the first time that all the water disappeared from underneath these boats, so they were probably not prepared for such.
And you could literally go over here to the other one and have your own island. You don't even have anybody. I got my own place back here.
Yeah. You're definitely not stranded, but you definitely can't use your boats to go places. Which,
that's true. They just got to turn the water on.
What are they thinking? God. Jesus. All right. What else? We only have 8 minutes before the Florentino episode of the evening.
The evening.
Yeah.
I'm not good at time.
The morning.
Oh, right. Sorry. I've been up since 3 days ago.
Do you ever remember that Kid Rock commercial where he was, this is before he hated Bud Light, where he was like, the guy comes in, he goes, I told you said you would be home early. He goes, it is early. It's like 3 a.m.
Chris.
It was Kid Rock, and he's like, and he's hanging out in his Z28 or whatever. Wow, man.
I don't remember that one. I don't remember that one.
Then he started shooting it up with machine guns.
No, he's very, very angry at Bud Light still. Although he's back to drinking it, so the world is healed. All right, what else have we got, Robin?
So I think we've all kind of fantasized a little bit of what life would be like if we won the lottery. Recently someone bought a Powerball ticket, which cost him $2, and he ended up with a billionaire status. So unfortunately, your chances of winning the lottery are close to impossible. So I also have I'm prepared with a very American scaled answer for you. So you guys can understand for context. Your odds of winning the lottery, you're 300 times more likely to get struck by lightning.
Oh, well.
So you're saying there's a chance.
There's a chance.
Saying there's a chance.
The funny thing is, I'll add to this. I knew this lawyer that for California, he handled a good number of the lottery winners for their financial planning, and most of the time, the lottery winners end up broke within 3 to 5 years. So
what's great? Sometimes on the show, we have some sort of synergistic thing going on because I have a couple of tales of lottery winners. So David Lee Edward, for example, he was an ex-con from Kentucky who won $27 million. Wow. So we went to a money manager. They said what to do. However, instead of taking his advice, he and his wife decided to blow all their money on expensive stuff, including drugs. Due to their drug use, they both contracted hepatitis. 12 years later, he ended up in hospice and died at the age of 58. His financial advisor claimed that if you listen to him, he would have made in $85,000 a month. Now, the guy that won this, the lump sum payment, so he could spread it out over 20 years, but the lump sum payment is $774 million. What would you fellas do? 774 or lump sum over the next 20?
Lump sum.
Lump sum.
You convert it.
I would take a lump sum and I would take 10% of it for spending for pleasures, and I would start a hedge fund with the rest. I would hire the smartest people in the country to run it. I would hire 2 quants and a trader.
Let me ask you this: would I have some money left over for drugs?
Oh yeah. Well, you would have in that case, you would have 7.4 million spent on drugs and homes and
that's fine. That's all I want to do.
Rodney's clearly thought of it.
So kind of going back into that, kind of adding to that, the lawyer told us a story about one of the gardeners who won, a couple $1 million. I don't remember the exact amount, but basically why he went down to being broke is he didn't listen to his financial advisors. That's the first thing, because there's a certain behavior in there's like once you get that kind of money, it's like, oh, I'll have enough money. So he ends up having a girlfriend down in Tijuana, and he's having a fun and pay for her. His wife wants a bigger house. She wants all this. She wants that, and he's trying. And then all his family is like, well, you're a millionaire now. You should be able to help me out. I'm doing this. So they blow this whole fortune within 5 years, and he's like wondering, going, where's my money? And the guy's like, I told you, don't do this, don't do that. Put this into this type of investment. You didn't listen to me any step of the way. You hired me to basically give you advice to not take. And what are you going to do?
Well, the problem is, they hire financial advisors, but the financial
that guy's probably watching the show right now that did that. He's going to sue us for telling this story.
Well, financial advisors are never like, oh,
I feel like the top financial advice for that would have been.
Yeah,
I think the top advice with that would have been don't get a Tijuana girlfriend.
That
probably should have been number one.
I mean, at the end of the day, I would just say this, right? If anyone's listening, if you win over $100 million, the only logical thing is to start a hedge fund. What else would you do?
I was going to hire 10 Thai lady boys, and I was just that would
you can do that after you start the hedge fund.
Oh, okay. I'm going to listen to you. More lady boys.
Because then you have so much money that people at that point, instead of people coming to you, here's where it gets good. Instead of people coming to you and saying, hey, listen, I got to pay off my car. I need a loan. They say, hey, listen, I got $1 billion idea. I need $100,000. That sounds right. Come on in here. Sit on down now. And then you own it.
I'm going to hire you once I won $1 billion. Let's do this next story real quick because I want to get to Florentino, but I want to pull up the video so we can get everybody's opinion on this. You want to tee it up there?
Yes.
My young friend. No.
Okay, so it's Fox News story time.
He thinks I'm young. I am kind of young, youngish, younger. That's you, Robin.
That's you. What do you got? I think he's frozen again. All right, listen.
Okay, so this is the most Fox News story headline you could think of. They found Bigfoot.
Yeah. Woo! All right, do you guys want to? You want to see?
They do have like video evidence of it.
And I have the video evidence, so I don't know.
Show it.
Here we go. Ready?
That sightseeing train between Durango and Silverton, they were trying to spot elk when they saw this creature that they could only describe as Bigfoot, 6-7 feet tall, they say, camouflaged. Now, okay, I mean, if you really look closely, I don't know what else to describe it as. Look.
That is crazy.
Right?
It's time to go. It's time to pack up and go.
Someone's in a costume out there freaking people out.
Too.
It's a comedian.
I don't care. Either way, it was time to go.
I think it's a prankster. The train's conductor tried to say, you know what, we've seen footprints in the snow before. Some people thought it was a hunter, but I don't see a weapon on that.
Someone's having
I believe it's Bigfoot.
Well, she's an idiot. So here's my point. If the geniuses from Finding Bigfoot and also Expedition Bigfoot and also the $10 million Bigfoot bounty couldn't find Bigfoot, we're to assume that a giant ape still lives in California and no one's gotten a clear picture of him?
I thought he lived in England.
No, that's the Loch Ness Monster.
Where's he supposed to live? He's here? I thought he was overseas.
He's in California.
No, I didn't know.
He's hanging out. He's Florentino's neighbor.
Yeah. He was right next door. He goes down.
The Hendersons. You know the Hendersons?
I love that show.
That is a great show. But you know what I mean? Like every episode of all of these shows always ends with them not finding Bigfoot. But we're supposed to.
It's the same with the ghost shows. They'll be like, a glass was broken inside of Susie's house, and I'm like, they spent money on this stupid shit. It was terrible.
Well, when I was a kid, I would you go see these documentaries on Bigfoot, and they've had so many videos that prove the existence of Bigfoot that turned out to be hoaxes. So that one, unfortunately, that one would be an easy one to do. It could be,
We
anything
all walk.
possible.
I could buy in the 70s when, like, all right, you might be in the woods, but you don't have a camera. Holy shit, there's a thing. But we all walk around with unbelievable cameras in our pockets that are connected to the internet. So you can take a picture, send it onto Reddit, and everyone would believe you. And we still haven't gotten a picture. I don't know.
Yeah, and here's the other thing too, is that I was thinking at first, I was like, could that be Kanye West? That's how he's been
He does
dressing
love
lately.
costumes these days.
Yeah, he loves covering up and wearing masks.
Yeah. All right. So, real quick, Robin, you have some controversial takes. Do you believe that Bigfoot is a thing?
No, and like if I was the person in the video, like why would I stand a kilometer away and film it? If I thought it was really a Bigfoot, I'd just sprint.
Well, they were on a train.
Yeah,
they were on a train.
The caveat is that they were supposedly on.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I would jump off the train though.
Yeah, you got to jump off the train if you see Bigfoot. Okay, guess what time it is? It's Florentino time. You ready?
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Yeah, all right.
It's Florentino Friday.
Florentino Friday. What a day!
I like that. I make they make one of maybe I'll get 500,000 views.
That's exactly it.
Absolutely. After this show, forget about it. You're gonna be swimming in billions of dollars. All right. So, like I said last night, I did some research. This is your LinkedIn resume, and it starts out, executive lending, and then Microsoft, and then all of a sudden, you're in rock and roll or jazz. So, can you sort of walk us through your origin story, how you got to where you are, and what you do now?
Well, we can start all the way back when I was in the music business. In the 80s, I had a career as a producer, and I put out an album. I was making good money as a producer for a record label. Turns out the record label owner, I don't know, but I believe he was a drug dealer and a gang member. So that
sounds about right. Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah. Well, we would.
That's a prerequisite.
Yeah.
You can't even get into the business unless you're selling cocaine.
I had an artist I was producing. He heard the song. He wanted me to produce his group. They were all young. I was 21 years old. The bands were like my artist was 16. The band was I think the oldest member was 18. So I was the old man, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but they paid me crazy money to produce this group. And everywhere we'd go, we produced in Reno because there's a really great studio called Granny's House over there. That was it's like a bed and breakfast recording studio, like world-class recording studio. So you go there and stay and work on stuff. And we did pre-production in Sacramento, and everywhere we went, the police would follow us. And the owner, the guy who owned it was like 24. He was driving a $100,000 AMC Mercedes. He carried a 9mm in his briefcase wherever we went. And I asked him, "Where'd you get your money?" He goes, "Oh, I got a fingernail in my cornflakes, and I sued him, and I got like $1 million." And a silly kid like me, I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll believe that." So, but as you look back on it, as an adult, you go, "Okay, he was a drug dealer, man." So I don't know. He had a house in Compton that was in a war zone at that time, but the house, he had 2 houses there at the end of a cul-de-sac that looked like mansions. He had built them from scratch. So I was like, yeah. And he talked about how he was associated with, I think it was the Crips, because we were talking about like Ice-T and some of these other guys that like to be gang member adjacent, but he said they were never legitimate. A lot of those guys were trying to be so that they'd have the cred, but they didn't. They weren't. So yeah, that's kind of where I started off. And then after that happened, I lost my artist and that I was producing. I took all the money I made and put into him, and then he was not stable at 16 years old. He didn't know how to deal with life when you start facing potential, stardom. I realized, okay, I need to go get something stable. So that's when I got into technology. That's how all that other stuff came about.
So you went into technology, but the itch of the music didn't leave.
It kept calling him back. That's right, like in The Godfather.
Yes.
I was always doing music in some capacity part-time. But then in the early 2000s, I ended up doing mobile technology for Microsoft, and I was a marketing manager of territory. I would work with all the the wireless carriers like Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T.
Now, Microsoft, is that a startup?
Yeah, that's a small local company.
Yeah, I have a question for you. I'm just messing with you. I have a question. You obviously were at Microsoft at the height, right? Like when they were doing things that were like unheard of. What was that like? I mean, you were there, and like when they really took
07 to 14.
Well, I mean, that's when they were
prime
flying
time.
high. Yeah.
Well, they still are, believe it or not. They still battled it out with Apple with who's got the most valuation. They really went more infrastructure now than what we were. But if you think about it, computers, they're still like 90% of all computers use the Windows operating system. But it was fun because you go into conventions and other places and say I work for Microsoft, and everybody would kiss the ring. So that was kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah.
But then there was a backlash from all the if you're that big and you're that dominant, everyone kind of has a thing against you.
Of
But
course.
Microsoft also had a bad philosophy of waiting for somebody to make something really cool and then they would take it.
Wow.
That was one of the things that they were known for because they didn't have to innovate. They could see what someone would do, then they would pour their their resources into making that happen. But it did it was a big reversal because I watched that happen with Apple and the Windows phones. All the things that Apple was touted for inventing, they never invented. They would like things like playing music on a phone. That was on Windows phones way before it was on Apple phones. It was on other phones too. It was on feature phones. So
They're just really good at marketing. I think that helps.
Yeah. Apple's great, amazing with marketing. They're always since the beginning, and that's one of the things that Microsoft was terrible about was marketing. So that's one of the challenges. But I wasn't there with I wasn't there when Bill Gates was CEO. I was there when Ballmer was CEO. So so it's kind of an interesting.
I think Microsoft did a really good move when they did the investment with OpenAI. That was genius.
Yeah. They're
genius.
I can never say his name, but the current CEO is really big on advanced technologies and things that are going to go on from the infrastructure side with servers, which is not my cup of tea. I was always on the consumer side.
Well, good news because you got out of it and you started this thing. So you want to talk about? You got a few. But let's start with EnterTalk. So you want to walk us through what this is? By the way, I watched a bunch of videos on this, and they're all so well produced. They're so pretty. Everything on the site's so goddamn pretty. Sounds great. Yeah.
Well, basically, I had a band. I was in my late 40s, turning 50, and I wanted to give it one more stab. I wanted to do music. Me and before this, I had a little studio, and we were producing Christian music that sounded like everyday music that wasn't necessarily targeted for the Christian community.
Like Creed or the Killers, sneaky Christian music.
Yeah, like YouTube, except for all the Christian music started sounding like YouTube with the edge guitars and it. But, no, I just it was always that way. Actually, some of my great friends started off in the industry. Aaron A. Train Smith, I give a shout out to him. He was the drummer on Papa Was a Rolling Stone, and in Sacramento, where I grew up, he started working at a place called Warehouse Ministries, and they just did music, and they just put it was just the spirit of it would have their walk in Christianity, and I love that, and that's what I wanted to do again. Because when it got picked up, finally, when it was acceptable to do contemporary music in the Christian world, it had to be a certain way, and it was very Nashville centric. So everything sounds like Nashville, like country music. If it's rock, it sounds country. If it's funk, hip hop, it sounds country. And I was like, I like country, but that's not where my heart's at. I wouldn't be a country artist. So we started this label. My buddy came, Paul Berzetsky. Big shout out to Paul. He is the production whiz behind all your videos that you're talking about, all of that.
Well, he's doing great work.
Yeah, he's the one who because we do all that as a company. We do live streaming concerts. We do post produce videos. He does all the websites, so we build all the websites in house. And
this one,
that one, yeah. So all these things, they're all silos in a reason and purpose for helping to develop or build, manage, and monetize music careers. So this one kicked off, and that was what it was. I was trying to find a way to talk to people that would maybe help us out with our career. And I had a buddy that just started. He just took over his online radio network. So before it was podcasting, it's called online radio. They had eBay, they had Entrepreneurs Magazine, they had a bunch of these different major corporations doing online radio shows, much like you would hear on your AM radio stations. And they did it exactly like that with the commercial breaks and all this. And he's like, hey, I need some marketing help. I need some audio production. I'll give you some space if you're going to help me make my radio station, WS Radio, take off. And I said, great, that I would love that. So we had space in the radio station to practice. Had a little recording studio, and I got this idea for him to work with a company organization called NAMM, which is here in San Diego, but it's the biggest music gear company conference in the world. I mean, they've been around since the 1800s, and 100,000 people show up to this thing. And I said, I just happened to knew the CEO from when we were kids in Sacramento. I didn't know if he would, we hadn't talked in decades, but I thought, I'll just try to reach out to these guys and see if I can't bridge something. And lo and behold, actually not because of Joe Lamond, who was the CEO at the time, but we were able to kind of get through the door because we were doing this crazy thing called internet radio, and we started doing live broadcasts from that. And then from one show called The Changing Stage, we started looking at how we're going to build this as a really impactful solution. And we realized, well, if we're going to do this, we want to make a sub category at WS Radio called, for the entertainment side. And then that became EnterTalk as its own network. We had 20 shows when we were really, really doing podcasting on the heaviest level. And we had some of the most notable players, like we had Jackie Bertoni. Shout out to Jackie. He was a percussion player for Tower of Power, for Chicago, for the folks who did Gonna Make You Sweat. So he's played with a lot of these artists, and he did a show where he would interview a lot of the people that he knew. And then some of those people kind of sprung off, like J.R. Robinson, who's the most recorded drummer in history. So all the Michael Jackson stuff with Quincy Jones. And J.R. would bring all his friends on. And Terry Woolman, my buddy A-Train, Aaron Smith, had a show interviewing all the great Christian artists. So we started doing that. And we unlike StreamYard, we had to do it old-fashioned way where we'd have somebody either call in or remote in. We'd mix it in the studio, and then people would be there. And these were just audio only at that time. So then we became looking at where the next transition was, and we thought, well, we should start doing this as a video. Let's look at getting into live switching. And there was nothing out there that was cost effective. Everything was in the $20,000, $30,000 range. And then eventually we found a little software called vMix, which is what I told you about. Right. And vMix is the stuff like when you see Fox, they'll use vMix. It was cost effective enough. It was like $700 when you got the full advanced package. And so that's kind of how we got into this live switching. And then that leads into the pandemic with concerts.cafe is our other platform. That's the one there.
Yeah.
And we had all this live streaming capability. We always wanted to do concerts, so we created a studio to do that in. And that particular screen grab is of Garth Dennis, who was the lead singer of Black Uhuru, which was a huge reggae band. They were as big as the Wailers back in the 80s. And so he was great. He unfortunately passed away not too long after this. That's probably one of the interesting things and sad things is a lot of great players that we knew and loved they passed away, right after interviewing. So hopefully we're not a
you're the Black Widows of podcasts.
I have a comment to make about this. Just kudos. It's almost impossible. It's not impossible, obviously, but it's very difficult to get a video to take as the header. So kudos to your web team. That's very hard to do. To do this, that's very hard to do.
Yeah, well, like I said, Paul is pretty amazing when it comes down to stuff. And that kind of leads us into our artist devs, because this whole thing was we wanted to get our band. Paul and I wanted to get our band going. I don't know if you ever found anything of its Curbside Vinyl. Was our band. We didn't get very far because not too long after we started this, the lead singer ended up running away to be with her boyfriend.
Oh. Well, at least they didn't die. I thought you were going to say they died. I was going
to say we got it.
Yeah, we started the show and they died. No, she followed her boyfriend to LA, and I was like, all right, and we never really kind of resumed back into it. But we fell in love with doing the podcasting, and then about a year or two into doing the show and launching the network, I realized if I'm going to do this, I have to do it full time. So,
and you're a bassist, right? You play bass?
I play bass, sing. What I was very common to do is if there was an instrument that we needed to have, I would play it. I play everything, not very well. I'm the typical jack of all trades, master of none. But
you think you could write a theme song for the Eric and Rodney show with Robin? Something a little bassy, a little funky? I think
we could. We used to all the theme songs on our network. We did most of those. But we started getting lazy when Google and a bunch of other free music royalty free sites came up, and it's like, do you want to take? It was fun, but do you want to take a day and a half to 2 days out of all the stuff? Like going back to the conversation before we got started, it's just trying to do this was insurmountable with a couple of people and bootstrapping budget, and that's why
that's why we need 200 people.
That's
John Stewart had 200 people. Why can't we?
We're better than John
it's funny
Stewart,
you say that. I did a commercial when I was a kid. I must have been like 13 or 14, and I was there all day. And I remember there was like 50, 60 people, and I remember thinking like, why in the hell is, what I mean? Why are there so many people here? And now that I think about what you said, it's like, because I remember doing a play at church, and there was like 4 people, and it was a nightmare.
We need more people. That's the problem.
I needed 200 people. That's the secret.
You know what's a real fucking problem? We're a 3-person operation and one's gone. So we don't even have the minimum amount of people that we need.
And one's lost his internet. And one has lost his interwebs.
Right. Florentino, I'll say, so all your stuff is pretty, but what I find the most fascinating about this, and I watched a couple interviews with you too, but you have this consumable merch I think is fucking genius. And so I don't know if you know this, Roddy, but you can buy Bootsy Collins coffee.
Yeah.
But I want to know about it.
Yeah, baby Bubba. Get your Bootsy coffee here.
I'm a big Bootsy Collins, George Clinton. So
P-Funk All-Stars.
So here's the thing. We can have our own coffee as well. How is Bootsy's coffee? Is it good? I hear it's a 3-bean blend.
Yeah, it's great. It's everything from our roaster partner up in LA. Shout out to Ben and Mark.
Yeah.
They basically they're really just artists when it comes down to making coffee, and they've got a great roasting plant up in LA, and they do a lot of big accounts. But we partnered to create this solution for artists. The challenge right now is let's kind of back away from me. Let's kind of talk about the music industry.
Yeah,
artists have no real way to make money, music artists, I should say, unless they're doing live shows. Bootsy doesn't play live anymore. Bootsy will go out and he'll do appearances, but he's retired from playing live. He did that for decades. James Brown, Parliament Funkadelic, his own career. Groove is in the Heart. He's playing on that, and it's like his whole thing is merch, and so he has a beer. He has a bunch of different things.
Is a beer?
Yeah, he has Bootsy beer. So so. Artists
we should have the Eric and Rodney roast.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
There you go.
We need to monetize this shit somehow. So you did say in an interview, so 75% of musician money comes from touring. A lot of musicians don't own their masters. And then you said too, there's only 150,000 professional musicians in the United States. That's not a lot.
No, there really isn't. When you think about professional full-time musicians, it's just
that's not a lot.
Yeah, it's really an interesting statistics. I don't know. I would beg to say that it's probably more, but it depends on what they. I didn't really look at the stat. I just looked up some stats on this.
It sounds. No one's going to count them, but it sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds about right. So the reality is, very few people can make a living at this. And I don't know if they're counting superstars and other things, but I'm not going to name names, but I've got friends who are iconic players that it's not easy for them to even make rent anymore, just because they have to play shows, and that's the only way they make money, because music is not monetizable at this point.
Yeah,
you don't make money off your music. Your music now is your marketing. Your brand is your revenue source, and it's understandable, because that's almost like insane with sports. You only have a short term for your money that you make as a player. You got to make it in your brands and your relationships that you put along the way.
Yeah.
And you've got to convert that money into something that's going to provide for you for a long time. So artists don't have that, and that's where the consumable merch piece came in. Because if you go out and buy let's say you bought a CD at a concert, because you might want to have that as memorabilia, or a T-shirt or a hat or whatever it is, the tchotchke, you only buy it once. You don't buy it more than once. But if you got coffee and it's good, people will buy it again and again and again. So
it's an added benefit.
It is an added benefit.
You're going to drink coffee regardless.
For some of the guys, ironically, the biggest buyers are the actual artists themselves, because they get it at wholesale, and they could it's like this incredible coffee. They drink it up. They're buying 8-10 bags at a time for themselves. So, and then one of them buys it as just to give away, because he just likes to give his brand away. So
Rodney, we have to do this. The Eric and Rodney roast. I mean, we have to, right?
Right.
Everyone who's a guest on the show gets a free bag of coffee.
I was toying with the idea of bourbon, but coffee may be easier.
Coffee's easier to ship, and it's a lot cheaper.
Well, it's the number 2 commodity of the world after gas. You're not going to brand gas. So
no, not yet. It's good.
So you're saying don't do the Eric and Rodney gas.
Yes.
The barrier to entry is a little higher if you want to get into the gas game.
All right. Well, I guess we could do coffee.
We'll talk about it in post. I think what's fucked up about music is that the internet democratized it, but now it's harder to make money. Like you could put out a music video. You could be one of the 720,000 hours that goes on YouTube every day. But how the fuck do you make money off of that?
It's tough.
Instagram.
Because YouTube, Instagram,
OnlyFans.
Brand influencer stuff is, in my very frank opinion, is baloney, because you can buy numbers, right? You can buy those numbers.
Yeah.
You really want to have someone who inspires, and musicians actually, I feel, would be a bigger draw for that. But than seeing some pretty girl in Ibiza, at a hotel going, "Hey, this is my great life." I don't know how much. I'm as a marketer, I still hold out whether or not that's as good as just spending that same money on Google, AdWords, or a Facebook campaign.
Well, I think you should spend that money on Google and AdWords. So I'm with you.
We have marketing companies, but
it's just a little bit more direct to do that way.
Yeah.
So that's what you guys do, right? Is you do marketing?
We do marketing, and this is we're trying to use much like you, a podcast for monetization in some way, and not music.
Not this one, obviously. Not this one, but our true crime one.
Would be ridiculous.
I will tell you this. I would say that we didn't really make money off the podcasting, not the numbers. But we realized, we thought we had a great idea, because I came from traditional marketing background, and I thought all of the CPMs from that, which is cost per thousand that people would pay you, would translate from regular radio to internet radio, and they sort of did for our buddy who had eBay and all these other ones. He was making great money off that. But when everyone started to be able to do it, like you said, it became democratized. There's no real money. In fact, we don't do podcasts that much anymore, because everyone's doing it, and it was hard for us. But what it does do, which I will say, which is brilliant for you guys, is it builds relationships.
Right. It's good for networking.
It's people helping people.
People helping people.
Yeah, no, it is. That's exactly what it is. It's perfect for that. There are some iconic people. Like one of my favorite people of all time is Al Jarreau. If I didn't have a podcasting network, me meeting Al Jarreau would have been very difficult to happen. There's no reason for him. He works with some of the greatest musicians in the world. He doesn't need me as a producer. Why would Al Jarreau want to talk to me? Well, I run a podcast. It was on my show. It was on Jackie Bertoni's show. But I would, as the producer, we went. He came to Jackie's home. He sat there, and one of the most beautiful spirits. And unfortunately, he's one of those gentlemen that passed away.
God. I'm glad you're on my podcast and I'm not on yours because you were killing me.
You're killing them softly.
I know. No one's going to want to be on our podcast. Although we have a lot of people.
Is that why is that why you stopped podcasting?
Yeah, it's his. He has the hospice of podcasts. Like if you're on death's door.
Suburbans in a hearse.
Yeah, we've got 1,000 episodes on the network.
Episodes to die for.
Yeah, but a small percentage of those people no longer with us. So.
I think we're batting 1,000. I think everyone's alive, but we've only done 100. So that's
So that's what we do. Our next venture, I will announce it here first on you guys. Nice. We are starting a vinyl only record label.
Whoa!
Because we have a handful of people and we don't have enough ventures to deal with. So we've got a partner out of Poland that is a vinyl manufacturer. We'll be doing 6 releases next year, but we want to help empower. Now going back to it, vinyl was there were a billion vinyl discs sold last year with 15 billion in revenue for the industry.
Wow.
There is now a tangible way for the artists to start making money. So we're always looking at solutions. How can the artist make money, and how can we shed light on that, and how can we get as many artists that are that
good idea
to make that.
That's a really. I have a question. Just a quick question. I was just curious because I think that's a genius idea. One thing I found is that most people don't have record players. I know that sounds crazy. I don't have one, but what I was thinking is that if you were able to sell record players as well,
sell the copier and the ink. There you go.
Yeah. Well, we're not saying that we're selling those, but we are looking at we're talking to some manufacturers as partners to.
Oh yeah, you don't do any more.
Yeah. You know what? You know what I would buy? The Bootsy Collins record player. So you get that shit on.
You know what I would buy? I would buy a record player that came with a subscription to the newest records that came out.
What about the newest coffee that comes out with?
Well, interesting enough.
You got my wheels flowing.
We had a show called Vinyl Blend, and now that's going to be the name of the label.
Oh, I love it. That's great.
So it's part of that whole thing.
That's good.
And here's the interesting thing. Let's go back to the Bootsy coffee. I don't have any stats for it, but you know how many people would say, "I bought your coffee, but I don't drink coffee." They put the coffee on their. It's a memorabilia.
It's awesome. I mean, someone like Bootsy Collins should have his shit on everything because look at the man. I mean, it's incredible.
Oh, he's just. And his commercials, I don't know if you've seen any of the commercials he made that we put up, but
I did.
He's just incredible. His
he's a national treasure.
Huge. Yeah. So
yeah.
And we've got other artists that are coming. A lot of jazz. We do a lot of jazz. A lot of because those guys came from a world. I grew up with funk, and R&B and soul. That was my passion. And a lot of those guys, migrated to jazz because that was kind of the progression that you do. If you wanted to be more serious about your craft, you play some music that was a little bit more complicated, a little bit more technically challenging. Because like a funk song could be like maybe one chord, and you're just vamping on that chord.
It's so funky. It's so funky. You can't help but love it.
It makes you feel good, but then after you've done that for decades, you're like, I want to do something a little different now. Let me find something that has 2 chords. So.
Double up the chords. You got
or 2 chords. We're gonna do 3.
I want to say something about one of your artists. I've never in my life, and I mean this with all sincerity, had hair envy before until I saw this motherfucker. Look at this dude's hair. Oh my god.
Greco.
Holy shit.
He's a guitar player for Shakira. He was a music director. So
what?
Yeah.
Well, his hair is unbelievable. I listened to the video too, but goddamn, man, he's got
a nice hair.
He really does. Yeah, he's got
And it's nice and gray. I like it. I sure do.
Right, it's me and you plus some mullet or something.
That's us.
Right. You can only dream, Eric. You can only dream.
I can only dream. I know. Look at this bullshit. I thought I was special, but now
it's me, you, and the guy from yesterday.
That's right. You combine all of our heads.
Here, man. If you enough Aquanet and that was like every girl's dream back in the high hair days in the 80s.
I use Tresemme because Aquanet's hard to find now, but yes, I agree with you.
Is it? Well, obviously I haven't needed to use it in a long while. So
you don't use Aquanet?
But it's the best. It's the stuff.
I did when I was a kid, though. I had a big booth that.
Well, listen, if you're playing bass, you got to have some hair.
Yeah,
right?
you got to have that. I did all kinds of different styles. I was in a heavy metal band, but I dressed like Prince, that kind of thing. It's pretty fun.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah.
We're gonna have you. We got to talk more about music. We're at the hour, so it's gonna cut us off on LinkedIn. So if you want to plug anything, let's do that. But don't you plug? I sign off, but don't go away, so we can talk in the green room. So do you want to
check out concerts.cafe, and that's the URL. concerts.cafe, as that's where if you're just interested in music, we're going to have live streaming concerts and a bunch of other different fun things there. So all the concerts because we do concert production now, we work with a few different venues where theaters predominantly where we film these shows, and we put them up online for you. And then if you are a musician and are interested, we have artistdevs.com, and that's artistdevs, as you see spelled there.
Yep.
And that's where we help musicians to build, manage, and monetize their careers. And we also do that for music gear companies. So it's not just musicians, but any music brand. We specialize in it because throughout these years and my time marketing with Microsoft, learning how not to market. I'm not bashing my old company. I'm still a big Microsoft head. I bought into the coffee and tea over there, or Kool-Aid, I should say. But, so those are the three things that we do, and just keep up with what we're doing. We're hoping to make a difference in this music world and help artists find a way to and music stay alive, because that's the biggest threat is if people can't. And I'll just leave it at this. There's a lot of focus on music education, but that education, if that education can't lead to sustaining careers, you're just going to have a bunch of hobbyists making music.
That's going to
You're right. That's right. I never heard that before, but that's good. You have a good point on that.
So that's one of the things I'm trying to encourage a lot of the big manufacturers. It's all great that you guys are trying to get at music education. That was yesterday. And we still need that. Don't get me wrong. That is a huge part of this. But you got to give them a place to go. It's like teaching kids how to play basketball on the playground, but you don't have the NBA. No one's ever going to really aspire to take it to great heights. You're not going to see the craziness like you do in the NBA or NFL, because then there's no inspiration to do that. So that's one of the things.
There's no safety net.
That's our mission, is to make sure that once I leave this place, that hopefully kids that will be coming along will have a way to continue on with some type of career. Not that it won't happen without me. I'll say this: when you mentioned YouTube, I'm a little butthurt about YouTube, because I had a company back in 2000 called Modern Age Media, and that was our whole thing, was a democratic video network, and we had this great interface, and it was this whole social. We built these community websites. It was called community websites, and we built out this whole thing on how you do video, and we were always shot down because people said no one would ever have broadband.
Oh, God.
That was the biggest thing, was broadband was not going to be adopted in the home.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
And because we were right after the .com, we couldn't get any real money behind us, so we gave it up in around 2002 and 2003. That's when I went to Microsoft. So.
It could have been you, man. It could have been you.
I want my $1.6 billion.
Well, I will say this. So I'm doing the deep dive last night. I watched a bunch of videos on here. And for anyone who cares about music, you have a shit ton of shows that are very interesting. I watched some of the drumming ones. This guy here was interviewed. There's a great drumming documentary on Netflix called Count Me In, and I've watched it. I don't know shit about drumming, but it's fascinating. But if you care about music, this website's incredible. And even if you don't, if you care about coffee, buy some fucking Bootzilla blend. All right. It's tremendous. All right. We'll be back Monday. America, have a lovely weekend. Florentino, don't leave me staying here. But for the rest of you, goodbye.
Adios.